Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today in the Dungeon Dive, I am revisiting Hero's Journey Home. This is a game that we've taken a look at before, but I was recently reminded of the game because somebody asked about it on the Dungeon Dive Facebook group, and I was like, oh man, I need to get Hero's Journey Home to the table again because this is such a wonderful and charming game. And it is a game that I often forget about for some reason, and I'm not sure why. In that sense, it is similar to Hand of Fate Ordeals, a game that I really love when I play it, but a game that I don't think about when I am thinking of some of my favorite games. And like Hand of Fate Ordeals, A Hero's Journey Home is a game with just an abundance of amazing art and a charming vibe. Hero's Journey Home is a game where the general art, the general aesthetic, and the vibe goes a long way into helping to create a memorable gameplay experience. So for those of you who maybe didn't see my old video or don't know too much about this game, this is a card-based adventure game in which you are leading a party of heroes. And your party of heroes has just completed a quest. They've tackled the maze, they've killed the Minotaur, they've subdued the great evil, and they have their reward. They have their quest reward, and they are on their way back home to return to their home. So you are playing the return trip after a quest has already been accomplished. In the game, you may find quests like the North Wind or the Templar Knight, Zigzag the Tyrant, Baba Yaga, and so on. These are all the different quests that your party just completed, and each one of those will be associated with a quest item that you are trying to get back to your home village. Each one of those quests will have a number associated with it, and that number tells you how powerful or how big your party can be. So if you went against, or if you completed the quest of Ikandu, then you get 14 points basically to spend on your party of adventurers. Okay, so speaking of adventurers, each one of these adventurers will have a number associated with it, and you can take in the sum of those numbers has to be equal to or less than the sum of your quest card. So I have just completed the Minotaur's quest, and for my reward was a ball of string. My ball of string allows me to replay any journey card, and I can discard this after use, but the Minotaur gave me 19 points to spend. So you could choose from a cleric, an automaton, a paladin, a wizard, a seer, and so on. Each one of these characters there in the upper right-hand corner has their total, and then some of them have an intrinsic ability and an extrinsic ability. You can think of those as kind of being passive and active abilities. So some of them are always active, and some of them you have to spend an action point in order to perform that particular action. Some adventurers are spellcasters, in which case you will draw a certain number of spells that they know, such as the Devil's Bargain or the D12 shot, a paper gold fountain, unity, a silent spell. Now, some of these spells came with the newest expansion. I wanted to talk about that a little bit, and that is called Realms of Magic and More. So there are actually two expansions to Hero's Journey Home, and I purchased the first one along with Gods of Man and More. And then the designer actually sent me Realms of Magic and More. Now, he sent me this so long ago. It was before the pandemic and right before, and he actually sent it to my work, and I didn't go into my office for almost 2 years. And so I never saw it. When I came back to my office about 6 months ago, actually almost a year ago now, this was sitting on my desk in a package, and it got all crumpled up by the post office. But I never got to thank him because I never actually knew that he sent it to me. So thank you. But this expansion adds some new spells, and the spells that it adds have a code in the top right corner, and this corresponds to the class that you might have in your party. And so if you have that class in your party, then you can take that spell. It kind of gives the classes a little bit of a build, I guess you could say. Personally, I don't play like that. I just mix all of the spells together, and I like to draw my spells at random because I enjoy these kinds of games with a high amount of randomness. What the new expansion also adds are spellcasting monsters. And if you look at the table right now, I'm about to fight against an enchantress. And the enchantress is a spellcasting monster. So this is one of the new monsters from that expansion. And this expansion adds a deck of monster spells such as Shadowfall, Forget, Summon Fiends, Disenchant, Heal, Drain Life, Shatter All, and Vortex. And when you come across a magic using monster, you draw one of these spells at random. So right now I have Prismatic Spritz. And if the enchantress casts this spell, then all of my adventurers take 1 point of damage. Now, the way the monsters cast the spell is if they ever miss on a physical attack, then they revert to casting their spell. Luckily for me, I had an ambush card in my hand, so I was able to play this ambush card when I encountered the enchantress. And so now I will get a free attack against her before she can attack me and possibly do a whole bunch of damage with my prismatic spray. So far on my adventure, I have had a hero die. I had my apprentice die because the apprentice is pretty weak, but I was able to reanimate her with this reanimation spell. And then I was able to cast this super cool spell, which is called Energize, and roll all the adventurer's HP dice and assign the roll dice as you see fit. And I got a really lucky roll on that. And so in my party right now, I am playing as a bandit. The bandit is my hero. It's a dwarf bandit. The god, this is from the expansion for the gods of man and more. So the bandit's god is Denesu Mua. And this is the god of bandits. If I roll a crit, so if I roll a 20 on my d20 attack roll, the enemy becomes poisoned and then they lose HP once per round. My hero bandit is also armed with a spear, which gives me a +1 to my card total when I am making an attack. And I am a dwarf bandit. So as a dwarf, I get a maximum of H hit points instead of 6. And also a +1 to my card value. So my card value here is actually 9. And then when I'm attacking right now, my card value is a 10. And then with joining my bandit is an elf shaman who is a spellcaster. And my elf shaman knows the well-healed spell, the enchant spell, the transfusion spell, and the witch doctor's wrath, which is one of the custom bespoke spells known by a shaman. So I thought that one was pretty cool. Now to cast a spell, you have to spend currency, and you can either spend some of your paper gold money to cast a spell. I think every 200 generates 1 magic point for casting a spell, or you can trade HP to cast a spell. So again, I love games where different stats and things can be spent as a currency in order to trigger other powers. I love that. And then I'm also playing a healer, and my healer has this very thick cloak. So when my healer is defending, she gets to add a +1 to her card value. Then I have a bard and an apprentice. And so far on my adventure so far, I have killed a sorcerer, which is another magic using monster. And I have killed this ogre. I have come across a couple pieces of gear here, the evening gauntlets and Niobe's nullifier, which lets me cancel a enemy's magical spell. Now, I didn't choose to buy these when I came across them, but with a new kind of an alternate rule now, you can set aside items that you didn't choose to buy, and then the next time you visit a town on your adventure, you can choose to buy any of those items that you didn't choose to buy previously. And on my journey so far, I have come across a treehouse hamlet, a port of Maris, the temple ruins, Ifric's city of thieves, and the Sea of Klon. To win the game, you have to go through an entire deck of journey cards. And somewhere in the bottom half is my home. And that's where I am trying to get to. If I come across my home card, then I win the game. Now, there are a whole bunch of journey cards once you start adding in all the other expansions. We have this many journey cards that I am not using because I am using a alternate setup, and that alternate setup was created by Ilpo, a friend of the channel. He's worked with Roger Deering on some of the rewrites for Dungeon Crusade, and he has some variations that he has made for Heroes Journey Home. And I really like his setup for his adventure deck. And that adventure deck is he has you separate the cards into a few different groups, such as enemies, non-enemies, and items, and then a few other things. And then you create a subset of all the cards to create a deck of 52 cards to go through. Because the deck without doing that is quite large and it can be a little diluted. And so I like creating the subset of that. In the newest expansion for Realms of Magic and More, there are also a few cards that are called Game Changer cards. And these cards you mix into the deck and they just do different things, such as this Vow of Poverty. You get no monster rewards, but you receive 1d6 times paper gold on every port or village. And you can also have a different value of prayer. One of the expansions added the ability to pray to your god. And at certain points, you can pray for 3 different things. You can pray for healing, you can pray for gold, and you can pray for an enchantment. And normally, I think you get 3 prayers, but if you take the Vow of Poverty, you get 4 prayers. You can also align yourself with Robin Hood there, or maybe you can part ways. There are ways to change up the game, and as those come out, they will introduce new little wrinkles to the experience. But these are all the cards that I am not playing with on this journey. So on this current turn, after I've done some adventuring, I come across this Enchantress. The Enchantress has 6 HP and a power of 9. And the Enchantress knows a spell, and I've already drawn the spell, which is a Prismatic Spritz. And the Enchantress also has a special power. When she rolls a 20 on her attack die, she causes my highest level character to attack my lowest level character with 1d20. So not only does she know a magic spell, not only is she pretty powerful, but she can also ensorcel my party. This is a really cool encounter. I like this. But I had an ambush card in my hand, so I'm going to play my ambush, and that will give me 1 attack before the Enchantress gets to attack. So I'm going to attack with my Bandit. My Bandit has a value of 8, plus 1 is 9, plus my Bandit is using a spear, which makes it a 10. So I look at my attack value is 10 versus a 9. So I would need to get a 9 or higher, and I get 2d20 to attack with. So looking for 9s here, and a 3 and a 13. Okay, so that's 1 hit. So we'll take away 1 hit point there. So now we go into the normal round of combat. And with that, we go from number order, starting with 1 through whatever the highest number is. Right now I have my apprentice. My apprentice only has a 1. A 1 versus 9 is not very good odds. I have to get an 18 or higher. And because my power is only a 1, I only get 1d20. So I'm looking for an 18. And a 3, no. Okay, so next we go up to the number 2, which is a Bard. A 2 versus a 9 is a 17, but I do get 2d20 now, so I need a 17 to hit. And a 14 and a 2. No, I saw that 18 there. I almost got excited. Now we have a 5 and a 5. So I think I'll have my healer attack. So a 5 versus 9 is 14. So I need a 14 or higher. And a 17 and a 10. Okay, we do 1 hit. Now my shaman will go. So again, I need a 14 or higher. 15. All right, not too bad. Okay, but now we're at 9s. So 9 and 9 here. If it is a tie, the monster gets to attack first. So 9 versus 9 is a 10. So the Enchantress would need a 10 or more to hit. And I think I'll have the Enchantress attack my Bard. Actually, I'm going to have my Enchantress. I'm going to have the Enchantress attack my healer because the healer is a 5, but the healer is wearing this very thick cloak. So that'll give me a 6. So that'll be a 9 versus a 6 here is a 7. So I would need a 7 or higher to hit. And there's a 2 and a 15. Okay, so that's 1 hit. So the healer will go down to 5. Now, because I didn't roll a 20, so the enchantress doesn't get to use her ensorcel power, and I did hit, so the enchantress doesn't get to use her prismatic spritz. But now I'm back to my bandit. My bandit has an 8, 9, 10, and again, a 10 versus a 9 is a 9 or higher. So we're looking for 9s here, a 12 and a 5. Okay, 1 hit. And so that would take that down to 2, and then I would just keep repeating that process until the enchantress would die. There is so much to love about this game. As you are putting together your party of adventurers, you get a lot of choices of how you want to encounter each of the creatures and what you want to use, what you want to spend as a currency, what spells you want to use, how powerful do you want to make them by making that choice of how many things to sacrifice to boost that magic power. And then there are just all kinds of really cool things to encounter in the decks. So we have this Alita's Book of Lore here, or the Liar's Barrow, the Short Sword and Ribbon, Plate Armor, Ale. You can visit the Devil's Rhombus or the Isle of Wart. You can find some short-sleeved chainmail, visit the Grease Mountains, maybe come across a Warhammer or the Boots Size 13, the Palace of Ekitsak, the Grotto of Rejuvenation. And as you play through these cards, as you encounter these enemies, as you get those items and you're questing to find your home, all of that, along with the art and along with the general vibe of the game, just creates for some really memorable and interesting moments. I love that everything is small and compact. You can play this game on a pretty small table, although having a full complement of heroes in your party, of adventurers in your party, along with your races and along with all of your items, you can get a quite big kind of tableau area in front of you, and you do need to constantly be checking. You do feel sometimes that you're more of a party manager rather than playing as a hero, and that's fine. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I need to play it more. I need to think about this game more when I am thinking of my favorite games, because it ticks so many of the boxes of the things I look for. Small table space, lots of variety, great art, great vibe, a ton of different things that you can do, different ways to use your powers, different ways to trigger different abilities, and I like all of that. Now, one thing, the game does not come with a box. Famously, this game was originally shipped in a burlap sack with the just the base game came in that burlap sack. But I made this box here. Well, I didn't really make the box. This is a box from an older game that I had that I don't really enjoy. But I photocopied, or I Xeroxed. How old am I? I scanned. That's the word I'm trying to say. I scanned the cover here and made it, and then just glued that to the box. And everything fits in this nice little box. So I have this little box of Hero's Journey Home, and it's a lot of adventure is packed in that box. So I think the game is done. I don't think there are going to be any more expansions or anything. There is one little, like a 10 card set that was a promo set, and I did just order that because I don't have that yet. But yeah, the game was created by Graham Cranfield, and there are copies of this game still available. I will post the link in the description below. I just checked today, the end of July 2023, and there are physical copies left of everything. I think there's only one copy left of the Realms of Magic and More. But yeah, if you haven't played Hero's Journey Home yet, and you are looking for a cool little card-based adventure game, I know I did just take a look at Quests Over Coffee. If you've played that and you liked that, there's a really good chance that you will like Hero's Journey Home. Hero's Journey Home is a little bit more of a little more complex than Cards Over Coffee, but it's a great little card-based adventure game that I do highly recommend. I always have fun playing this, and I do, like I said at the beginning of this video, I really do need to play this game more often because it is so fun. So, all right, you guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed revisiting Hero's Journey Home, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.